guys, one more video here. We're going to kind of do two things in one. We're going to show you a little bit about what's up with the Bob Smith Industries tire glue, and do a little bit of an instructional video on how a person might glue up a tire. So we're going to jump right in. Basically, this is a re-glue, so I don't have the ability to take off the other side. It is broken off from one side only. So I've cleaned the tire as much as I can, removed as much dirt, any oil if it's maybe a fuel-powered car, because you want a good bond. You want it to be able to stick. If this were a new tire, new wheel and tire, some companies will have mold release on the rubber. You know, if it really is kind of tacky, sticky, or you're seeing fingerprints in the rubber, it might be a good idea to remove the foam liner, wash it as much as you can, because sometimes if the mold release will stick to the glue, but the mold release doesn't stick to the tire. So that's when you have to, it breaks loose at high RPM, or doesn't really last, and you're re-gluing tires, and it's just a mess. So you would clean that. Also, test fit your tires. Make sure that the bead of the tire matches the groove in the rim. That's going to be very important, because if it does not seat well in your hands, it's not going to spin true at high speed. You will have zero time to get that seated properly. So take the time, make sure that the bead mounts in there properly and nothing's sticking out. Also, that you do not have the foam insert. These all have foam inserts for the liners. You would want to make sure that that's not in the bead, gonna contact with the glue and get a hard spot, because some of the glue doesn't like the foam. So you gotta just take a little bit of time, make sure it's seated first before you do any gluing at all. Some people will also like to have some rubber bands for once you get the glue all the way on the tire, you'll be able to kind of squeeze that in and just get a really true balanced tire. That's your option though. Sometimes it fits, you don't need that, but whatever you can make work is the best way to do it. So we're going to choose, Bob Smith has two kinds of glues. There is one that is highly rubber based. It's got rubber in it. This is probably one of the more flexible glues that they have. Rubber toughened, very, very strong, super thick. So this is kind of, if it were dirty, this is really, really strong. Some situations this is really good. Today what we're going to use is we're going to use the Insta-Cure. Medium viscosity, little thinner. So with the thickness of this, everywhere you want the glue, that is where you have to move it. So sometimes, if you need it to flow and chase around the rim and fill areas, this is not going to do it. So we're going to use the Insta-Cure today. When you go to glue your tires, there's some different techniques. Again, it's what you can make work is the best way to do it. I like to do a couple of dots around the perimeter and then fill in the gaps. And the reason I do that is because I found that if you start at one spot and you work all the way around the rim, you are going to end up with something not fitting, or you're going to have an extra bunch of tire at the end. It's kind of like how you would torque lug nuts on a real tire. You kind of want to stagger it so that it stays in the bead. So I'm going to go ahead and do 4 little dots. I'm going to peel back, make sure I'm not getting any foam, and I am not mounted in the bead here. Got to make sure that is right. I'm going to peel back a small portion and do a dot. Make sure that goes back in there. Seats. I'm going to do 3 more dots, kind of making sure it gets on the rubber all the way down into the groove of the rim. I'm going to do another little, lay that in there. Seat that, make sure it gets in there well, because you don't have a lot of working time with this. So if it is wrong, it will be wrong forever. Once that is kind of all seated in there, at this point, if you want to move on to the next step, you could hit it with some accelerator. We're going to go ahead and do that. The only problem with that is that now you either have to wipe it off or you have to wait, because any more glue that you apply will cure instantly and it doesn't have a chance to penetrate. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and wipe that off, and we're going to be back with you. All right, we got the we got the accelerator kind of dried off because we want our new glue to stick. So we've dotted the 4 corners so it's not going to move in the rim, and it's for the most part, going to stay in the bead when we peel back a section. That's what we're going for. So we're going to try to bring the rim up to the surface there a little bit. And sometimes rubber bands will help with that. You can kind of squish the tire and get it the shape that you need. Because sometimes it's really tough stuff to get this to stretch around where you need it to go. So we're going to find a spot that is not glued just by pulling back on this tire. And there's a spot that we glued. So what we're going to do is, you know, I mean, it's a chrome rim. It's not in great condition. So we're gonna be a little liberal on this glue. We're gonna use a lot of glue. You know, it might stain a fresh chrome rim or something like that. You know, just do a really good job and you'll get better at it. But since it's already broke off, we're gonna try to work that in there and really get a good bond for this guy. If it broke once, odds are he's gonna be able to do it again. So we want to do a good job laying a whole bunch of glue. You know, really working it in, because it's liquid, but you know it's also trying to cure. So it's liquid for a couple seconds, then it's kind of starting to cure the longer it sits. So it won't flow as much as you might want sometimes. So you just gotta work it in there, really get a bunch of glue in there. And you may have to go back. You may have to just let it sit, glue side up. Don't want to glue it to your bench. Glue side up and just let it sit and come back and pull on it. If you grab that sidewall of that tire and you pull on that and it breaks loose, it's going to break loose while you're driving. So you might as well just go ahead and peel it all back, break as many loose as you can, get in there with some fresh glue. And that's going to be probably your best defense on keeping these tires on there. Sometimes there's instances where you might have a bead lock rim, which is a rim that actually bolts together and does not use any glue. Something like that. You know, in an instance, you could use silicone that you might get at the hardware store or the auto parts store, and essentially kind of glue it on with silicone, but yet you still have the removable nature of the bead lock rim. You're not permanently gluing it, destroying it, making it unusable, and so you can't change your tires. So sometimes there's some instances to where, you know, gluing tires, you know, you just gotta think about what works and what you're going to be doing. But you know, something like this, it's going to work out great for you. All the Bob Smith Industries stuff really works good. And again, thanks for tuning in, and happy gluing, and keep those tires on. Thanks for watching this Model Merchants video, and don't forget to check out modelmerchants.com. And please do remember, if any of this video was helpful today, please hit like, share it. There are some coupons that we have that we'll link in the comment and description section below, so definitely like that, share that. We just want to get the knowledge out there, and you know, please stay tuned. They're always changing, so so definitely check back with us, and happy modeling.